The success of Waterford Glass in the 60s and 70s was built on the extraordinary commitment of the entire Johnstown workforce. That commitment was often given at a price, and at a personal level, few can have paid more than Miroslav Havel. In order to extend his initial 3-month exit visa, Havel had surrendered his passport to the Czech consulate in 1947. He never saw the passport again, and when the Czech Communist Party seized power in February 1948, Havel, along with his fellow Czech national Charles Bacik, was effectively rendered stateless and could not return home. During his absence, he had maintained contact with his girlfriend Rosa. But as time passed, Miroslav Havel knew he had a decision to make.
After 2.5 years, I said it is impossible for me to get home. I was terribly upset about Rosa. Terrible. You don't know it. I was not. I had about 150 letters from her, yeah. And it was heartbreaking. But somehow we came to the conclusion that it would be useless wasting their lives. She was a lovely girl. One way or another, quietly, it stopped.
Miroslav and Rosa were never to meet again. But fortune did eventually smile on the young Czech, and like many another glass worker, he was to find his true love on the factory floor.
Mr. Bacik said that we need one girl, some girl who will bring all the papers down. And they gave it to Betty upstairs. So I started seeing her more. And one day it was some woman about 60, and she said, Mr. Abbott, this is the girl for you. And I said, oh, just forget it. But she would not stop. And well, eventually I took her to the pictures. We never got engaged. It was the 1 week before, no, 2 weeks before the Lent, was the last week when the weddings were permitted. I went to her, I said, look, Betty, on Saturday is the last Saturday before Lent. We have to get married. Oh, no, I have no dress, I have nothing like that. I said, go in the town and start looking for something. But that morning, Betty, I just could not believe she was looking beautiful, positively beautiful.
Miroslav Havel and Betty Story were married in St. John's Church on March 2nd, 1957. And having failed to recover his Czech passport, Miroslav became an Irish citizen in May 1958. Unable to return home, he spent much of the following years trying to arrange for his parents to visit him. But it was to be 1969 before the Czech authorities relented.
It was a miracle because eventually somehow they decided that one of the parents can go. They would not let them go together, because it was a chance they will not come back. Mommy was thrilled here, She flew from Prague to Havana, refueling in Shannon. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Plane arrived. Only one person coming out. So I saw my mother. It was... It's very hard to say, how it go. She was unable to talk. She was so much up, yeah. I remember she went over my neck, and half an hour before, eventually we separated. And I have with me Betty, and I have with me Brian. Brian was the oldest son, yeah. I have a little Fiat Bambino, and we packed ourselves in, and slowly we went. And I remember we stopped in Limerick for some cup of coffee, and Mother again, when she saw people pouring the milk in that, so I arranged the lemons, and we have lemons. But Brian and Betty, heaps of milk in that, yeah. The color changed like... And so we arrived here, and I was that time living in bungalow down there, Grange Lawn. Mommy it took her a few days before she was sitting all the time with children, and she was repairing all my socks. Betty was mad. Irish don't do these things. And then her other things which I will never forget. When she saw the sea, she did not see the sea before I took her to Tramore. She did not mind the water, but the noise. She closed her eyes and listened to that waves coming that. And she was sitting for hours. I hopped to the shop for fish and chips. She was a very happy woman.
Mirik's mother returned to Czechoslovakia after a 3-month stay, and her husband Franta made the trip to Ireland 2 years later. The Havel family's poignant story of separation, loss and tearful reunion is just one scene in a drama that was constantly unfolding, as scores of glassworkers from across Europe made their way to Waterford during the pioneering years of the late 40s and early 50s.